Hi folks, let's try to do the Leetcode 258, which seems like a very easy problem to do. And I guess it's good for if you're starting out in programming and you just want to do some low-hanging fruits and probably practice your favorite language while doing that. It sounds like a good idea. So here it is, it's given a non-negative integer num, which means 0 or a positive number. Repeatedly add all its digits until the result has only one digit. So he gives some examples like 38, and he says output is 2. And the process is like 3 plus 8 is 11, true. And then now you add 11's digits, which is 1 plus 1 equal to 2, and then you can return 2. So you basically continue to add the digits of the input number, and once you have to keep resetting the input in a way which suggests kind of a loop, and then repeat the process, and whenever you find a sum that is less than 10, basically that means it's in single digits, you are good to go. So I guess that's what we need to do. So let's try it. We are going to do this in C, which is our current darling. And how do we do that? We say let's have a accumulator variable sum, and while num. So that's where your idea of resetting and doing this in a loop. So you get to practice loops in this problem. So what should we do? We should say sum equal to sum plus, so sum is your accumulator, and what you want to do is you want to grab one of the last digits in num. So that is kind of extracting digits from num. So this is like, for example, 38 num mod 10 would be what? 8, because it completes, it divides by 3 and the remainder would be 8. So you get 8 here. So sum would at this point will be 8 actually, 0 because it was 0 here. Now what do we do now? We see that if at this point you need to see if your num is less than. Now you see what are the things. So at this point you see that num will be equal to, you could say num divided by 10, and this is integer division. It gets rid of the last digit in num. So that means num now would be 3, and we will go back to the loop. And as long as here num is when you come inside this, you would see this loop would continue to go on as long as num is having some value. We say num is not 0. So but if you come inside the loop with num being like in single digits like 3, now you know that this next time around you will not be coming here. So what is the idea? You need to make sure that now what is asking is, he's saying whenever your sum is less in single digits. So you say if sum less than 10, we might say break, and here we might say hey, return sum. But what is the gotcha here? The gotcha is we still have to make sure that we do not prematurely get out of while loop, because what happens if you should do this only when you know that you have no more digits to be gotten from num. So you say, so if num is less than 10, what does it tell you? That the next line will give you 0. And if next line is going to give you 0, you know that you basically run out of the digits in the num. So what we should do is we should say here that if num is equal to 0, that means we have run out of the digits in num, right? If num equal to 0, basically if num is equal to 0, what do? We need to reset num. So num would be equal to sum, and sum has to be reset back to 0. So now you take the example of like 38. We say while num 38, sum is 8 first time here in line 7. If num less than 10, no, num is actually 38 and sum is 8. So we don't break out. So now num is 3 because 8 is already taken care of. 3. Now is this num equal to 0? No. So we go back. Sum becomes 11 now because num is 3, 3 more 3 is 3 and sum was already 8, so we have 11. Now 11, again, if num less than 10, sure, num is less than 10 because num is actually 3. But is sum less than 10? Because we are supposed to return only when the sum of the digits is equal to less than is in single digits. So we still don't break out of it. And num now goes to 0. When num goes to 0, we say we reset num to the current sum, which is 11. So num becomes 11 now, sum becomes 0. We follow the process again. At some point, what happens is we get 1, we get again 1. Now it becomes 2. Then what happens? Num is less than 10, 1, yeah, and sum is, because we know that whenever the num is in single digit, over here on line 10, we will end up with 0 and the loop is done. So that is why we try to put this before getting the last digit here. Say if num less than 10 is in single digit and sum is already in single digits, we can simply break out of it, because you're not going to go in the loop again at this point unless you reset num to, whenever you see that the num is 0 has become 0, we can reset it. But we already know that we have sum in single digits, so there's no point in doing all this. We can simply break out and then just return sum. So let's see what we get so far in testing when we pass the test case. Okay, cool, so that works. And let's see submit, and that works as well. So it's all looking good. I guess it was a relatively easy problem, and no wonder it has been characterized as easy by Leetcode. But nothing wrong in doing one of these easy problems and keeping your creative coding juices going. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care. Goodbye.